All right, welcome everybody. It's great to see everybody. This is the Delco Small Business Owners Network interview number 2. We have a very special guest today with us. It's Dena Lefkowitz. She's an executive coach. She's been featured on Forbes, Huffington Post, Philadelphia Business Journal. I don't want to say you've now reached the pinnacle at Delco Small Business Owners Network, but here you are.
But it's true.
It's great to see you, Dena.
Good to see you too, Tom. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Absolutely.
Here.
Yeah, well, Dena and I are friends. We know each other from Toastmasters, Delaware County. Everybody's going through this stuff right now differently with the coronavirus, and here we are on Zoom, just like everybody else is doing. But just could you tell everybody what it is that you do?
Yes, I would love to. I am an executive coach and former attorney, and I work with lawyers and other professional service providers on the things that they don't teach you in professional schools, like how to get business, like how to manage your career successfully, and how to up-level your skills in order to lead others, executive presence, leadership skills, management, those sorts of things. The types of things I struggled with when I was a practicing attorney, and I didn't know where to go for help.
Right. Basically all the important things, right?
Well, they do say EQ is more important than IQ, and
Yeah.
I've certainly found that when you have relational skills, which sometimes they call soft skills or people skills, it's easier to get ahead.
Right.
People are the ones who are going to be buying your products, services, etc.
Right. It's fascinating because you hear people say, "Oh, it's not what you know, it's who you know," and there's so much truth. I mean, you have to know something, but once you know enough, it's the who you know, it's the soft skills, it's the EQ, it's all that stuff. No, that's fascinating. So what, in particular, because you mentioned how specifically coaching lawyers, but what kind of inspired you to become an executive coach, and then specifically for lawyers?
Well, I'd like to take you back first to why I went to law school in the first place, because that's really where it started. It started with an idea that I had without knowing anything. So I came from a family that didn't have a lot of money, and I was the youngest of 5, and I saw by age 10 that my family couldn't afford things that I wanted. And I actually got my first job when I was 10 because I always wanted more. That kind of became my signature word, more. I wanted more status, more money, more opportunity. I got working papers when I was 14, and I put myself through college, the youngest of 5 and the first to go to college. But when I graduated with my English degree, I wasn't really marketable. So I thought, what can I do now? And there were basically 2 professions I had heard of: lawyer and doctor. Of course, there were a lot of others, but I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about a profession where I could make good money, have security, and status. So I went to law school, not because I loved Perry Mason or LA Law, or because I knew anything about what it was going to be like to be a lawyer. It was just this lofty idea in my head of an exalted status that I could achieve in life. And what I found was the reality of practicing law was really, really difficult, really stressful. I chose litigation for, again, I don't know, I couldn't tell you why. I just landed there. I landed in an internship, which led to a job. And the next thing I knew, I was a litigator. And I don't like conflict. I don't even want to send food back in a restaurant. So it wasn't a good fit. And then I got stuck there because after I was stereotyped, I found it difficult to find a position in another area of the law. So I was miserable, and I cried on Sunday nights a lot, and I was just stressed out all the time trying to figure out a way out. And ultimately, I was able to carve out a place for myself in the law, but it took a lot to get there. And over the time I was doing it, I met a lot of similarly miserable lawyers. I distinctly remember being at a deposition table with an opponent waiting for a witness to show up. And he turned to me and he said, pardon the expression, doesn't this suck? And I thought, wow, my opponent is talking to me about a really important thing, career dissatisfaction. And I found over the years, I was always friends with opponents. It was the clients that had the conflict, not us. And I found lots of lawyers talking to me about their struggles to find a good job, their struggles to bring in business, and all of the other things. And as I made my career transitions, I started to see that I could help other people do the same thing. And I was actually doing it while I was a lawyer. I mentored young lawyers, I helped them in their careers. I would help people I was working with while they were looking for other jobs, knowing that we were going to lose them, but doing what I could to help them in their careers, because I want people to be happy. And I would never want someone to stay in a job that they weren't happy with.
Yeah.
And a real turning point came for me when I had been out for about 10 years. I was practicing in a firm, and the owner decided that he was going to kind of retire. What he was going to do was what they call go of counsel. He wanted to take his caseload to another firm and let the lawyers there do all the work, basically. So that's what he was looking for, and he was closing his firm, and we were all looking for jobs. And the thing that amazed me was that I was kind of at the peak of my career in a way. I was, young enough that I could work really hard and do anything, but not so seasoned that they had to pay me a fortune for it. So I should have been very marketable. And what I found was my boss, who didn't want to do any work, was more marketable than I was, because he had the one thing I didn't, a caseload. Mm. And I had spent all my years working hard, becoming a superior technician, just nose to the grindstone, because I thought that was the important thing. And I decided then, if I ever got another chance to work for another firm, I was going to get business, because I saw that working was what I did for other people. Selling was what I could do for myself. And it's an eat what you kill world out there. And a lot of young lawyers don't realize that. So you have to get the practicing law piece, and you have to get the bringing in business piece. And if you don't have both of those, your prospects will be limited. Not that there aren't things you can do, but you're probably not going to be a partner in a law firm, because without a book of business, that won't happen.
Right. No, that's fascinating. Thanks for sharing the whole story. I mean, I just as you were saying that, I thought of like when you started with specific law, like a specific kind of law, and how you kind of get typecast. It's like you hear it all the time in Hollywood. It's like, well, I played this kind of person and now I only get roles. I'm only a villain now because I played a villain, so no one wants to see me as the good guy. It's fascinating how that applies across industries, whether it's law or all sorts of different things. But no, that's fascinating. And the whole idea of like the technical stuff being what most people tell you, learn how to do this, learn how to do all the technical things. Or if it's a landscaping firm, it's like know how to do the lawn mowing and know how to do all the stuff, or pool cleaning or whatever. But the money and the value, the asset that's created is the client base.
That's right. And there are other people in this group who are probably in the same situation. They're
Sure.
super good at that thing that they do.
Mm-hmm.
I've known contractors who would go out and do an estimate, but then they couldn't get around to sending the estimate to the customer. And so if you don't have that piece, you're not going to be successful.
Right.
So he had to find a workaround to force him to do it. And the thing he came up with was sort of hilarious. He told his assistant that for every estimate he sent out, he would give her $10. And so, or for any estimate he didn't send out, he would give her $10. And so she started getting money, and he started to realize, I better send these estimates out because it's getting expensive.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, we can make little deals with ourselves to get things done.
Yeah. No, it's fascinating. So because you mentioned the deals, just to follow up with do you have any, I know, this is part of what you do with coaching. Are there any like kind of deals you can set up for, wanting to go out and do that marketing or whatever it is that you're trying to do, whether it's sending out a quote or attending well, obviously right now, a virtual event?
I think the secret is to lock yourself in, to look for things to attend, to sign up and pay for them ahead of time, and even to maybe touch base with some other people who are going to be going so that you're even more locked in. Everything is easier when you have accountability. If you're going to start working out or you're going to go on a diet or whatever it is, it helps to have somebody else who's expecting you to do that thing that you just said you'd do. Somebody waiting for you at the gym, somebody who's going to ask you at the end of the day, how'd you do with your diet? If telling people is one way of getting accountability, and signing up ahead of time is another. And I don't always look forward to networking events. So sometimes even on the way there, I make deals with myself. I'll say, go in, stay for an hour. If you meet 3 people, you're good, you can go. And that's just a trick, because by the time I'm in, I'm not thinking about leaving anymore. Getting there is the hard part. And I find the same thing with the gym. Getting there is the hard part. Once you're there, you're going to do whatever it is you're there to do. And I usually end up staying at the networking event way longer than whatever deal I made with myself. But it helped get me out of my office and into that event.
Yeah. Well, that's fascinating. Just breaking up the task almost into small, tiny increments, but not telling yourself that that's what you're doing. No, no, no. I'm only going to the gym for 5 minutes. I'm going to do a couple of bench presses and then I'm out of there. But, oh, well, while I'm here, I might as well do this. It's almost like how stores bring us in for Black Friday sales.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently I'm not that bright, because I believe myself when I'm telling myself these things. Oh yeah, I only have to stay for 10 minutes.
Yeah. No, I'm totally the same way. So because of what's going on with the coronavirus, and that's kind of what I started the group for originally, how are you dealing with the new kind of normal with coronavirus as it, regards to your business? And then also, do you have any ideas for anyone, small business owners in the group that are also going through it?
Well, one of the things that I just said to you has been coming true for me over the last few weeks. I have to say, the first couple weeks that we were in quarantine, I wasn't as productive as I would have liked to have been. I did a lot of cooking and cleaning, but I didn't do much for my business other than show up for the coaching appointments I had. But then a few things that I had set up ahead of time started to happen, like the television show that I was on yesterday and a speech that I'm giving in May. So when you sign up for things, you will do them. So that advice comes up again. There's a lot of networking to be done right now. Not selling, but really connecting meaningfully with people. A lot of times when I'm coaching people in a job transition or a marketing endeavor, they'll say things like, well, I was supposed to follow up with that person 3 weeks ago and I didn't do it. So now it's too late. I've heard that a million times. Now it's too late, as if it's a fact. And usually I say it isn't too late. So what if it's been 3 weeks? Call them anyway. This pandemic is like a get out of jail free card to call anybody that you've ever cared about, because we're all in the same situation. We're all in our homes, except for healthcare workers and people that are out doing the things that are keeping us safe. Many people are in the same situation as you, and it's not weird at all to call somebody that you haven't talked to for 5 years. They're not going to say to you right now, gee, I thought you would have followed up with me sooner on that, Dena. That's just not the era that we're in. Now, I'm not saying to call and pitch them, but I'll give you an example. I do new client calls with people who will get in touch with me to ask for a consultation. And I always look forward to those, because when someone calls a coach, usually means they're ready to take action in some way. And that's a very exciting thing. Mm-hmm. And there was some people that I had spoken to earlier in the year who hadn't, for whatever reason, gotten back to me. And I was thinking about them. Should I follow up? Will it seem crass? Is it obvious that nobody's going to want coaching during this period that we're in? And I thought, well, I care about people. That's why I'm in this business. So I'm going to try to craft an email that conveys that doesn't ask for anything and that only offers value. So I wrote to some of the people that had contacted me and just said something like, we talked a few months ago or whatever it was. You were interested in coaching. I know, and speak to the elephant in the room. I know the world has turned upside down since we spoke.
Right.
But at the same time, some clients of mine have gotten new jobs in the last few weeks. A couple people have gotten promotions, so things are still happening. And I wanted to check in with you and see how things are going. If you'd like to have a conversation, please let me know. And I did that for a group of people. And I spoke with one of them yesterday, and he hired me to be his coach. So
You know,
I wasn't going into it with the idea of getting hired. It was more of an outreach, wanting to stay connected to anybody who's contacted me about coaching services, people that I've met at networking events. I am really trying to spend part of every day making connections with people because this is a good time to build relationships. I found I'm having deeper conversations with people about what's really important in life. People are starting to discern the things that they've been putting up with, whether it's a horrible commute or a horrible boss, starting to think long term because now they have the space in a new and different way to really think about their lives and what they're getting out of it and what they're putting into it and how much time they spend with their family and loved ones and what they want more of and what they want less of.
right.
So connecting with people in this time, I feel is job one.
Yeah, no,
Having Zoom talks with
yeah,
people is a great way to do it. Telephone calls are also good. I have been meaning to and will start writing personal notes to people. I've got the note cards. I had to order stamps. Everything has arrived, so I'm going to start doing that too.
there we go.
Anyway,
There's the commitment right there. You
yeah, I
told
just
us,
made it.
told us all, everyone watching this knows now.
Right, exactly. You can hold me accountable.
Yes.
That's how many notes I've sent out.
Yeah,
and,
right.
and offering something of value. I am working on a video right now that I am going to release. It's going to be a short instructional video about something that I feel will be helpful to people during this time. I'm often going to offer it for free, just as something to help and to contribute to the situation. So everybody watching this has a skill set, has a talent, has something that they could offer. What could you put out during this COVID-19 period that might really help somebody who's struggling with something? What discount could you offer? What could you do to help somebody in a difficult situation right now? And so I wasn't going to say what my video is going to be about, but I might as well. It's going to be about how to make a vision board. And the reason that I'm doing that right now is because the situation we're in at the moment isn't the greatest. We're all at home. We're limited. Some people feel stuck. I prefer to say I feel safe at home rather than stuck at home. But the fact is, we can't go to any of the places that we usually go. So I thought, wouldn't it be a nice exercise for a person to spend a day or a half day envisioning their ideal future and putting it together in a vision board? And I've been making vision boards since 2008. They are catalysts in my life. They help me get where I'm going by keeping things that I'm working on top of mind. And it's also fun. And in preparation for my video, I created a vision board. And it reminded me of how much fun it is and how it takes you away from what's going on right now. So that's my contribution. And the reason I bring it up is because everyone who's watching this has something special that they can offer.
Oh, absolutely. And like you said before, Dina, also like using this time to give value and then also to deepen those relationships. And I think also, like, as you said, oh, I reached out and then I hired a client. Actually, I got a client out of this, but you didn't go into it going, I need 5 new clients and that's like my goal from this. it's like, it's so many things that I've found in life when you genuinely care and you genuinely just want to help someone with no expectation of anything in return. That's when you get way more than you ever could have like planned on as part of a conscious effort. Not that you shouldn't consciously go after things, but no, that's huge. So
I think there are some other things that people could be doing right now if they have downtime. They could be working on their LinkedIn profiles, asking for endorsements, giving endorsements, asking for recommendations, giving recommendations, spiffing up the profile, maybe taking a new picture, sharing content, commenting meaningfully on other people's content, and using social media to keep your name out there with the people that are already part of your network.
right.
You
And
don't
that's
want to be quiet right now.
what's that?
You don't want to be quiet right now.
Right. You want to still, and you can do all these things without, you don't even have to get on a video. Like you could literally just go on your Facebook, your LinkedIn and make some comments, right? Like you said. So no, and then people have the time to do it. So here's a question I want to get, because you're so interesting. You have so many different things. We've talked, before about how many different things you've done in your life. What is one thing that someone would be surprised to know about you?
Well, I'm a crafty person. I like to make jewelry and knit. I just finished making a really adorable stuffed bunny for my niece who's expecting a baby in May.
Oh,
I
congratulations.
don't want her to know that I made that for her.
Uh-oh. Well,
no, just kidding.
we'll have to figure out how to, we'll keep it from her.
Yeah, as an attorney and an executive coach, I don't know if people would see what might be surprised that I actually enjoy spending time at home and working on these crafty projects, knitting and sometimes crochet and cooking.
Yeah, a lot of cooking nowadays.
That's true. That's true. I've always found cooking to be a stress reliever. I wouldn't say I love to cook. I've generally viewed it as a chore, but lately I've been feeling like it's a salvation to just focus on chopping a carrot,
Right, just that focus in the present moment. Just chop the carrot. That's all you're doing right now. No,
Yeah.
I totally hear you. So, just to wrap everything up, just so everybody can remember what it is that you do and then where they can get more information.
My business is called Achievement by Design, and I called it that because achievement doesn't happen by default, only by design. And the website is achievementbydesign.com. And my office number is 610-566-5089. And I would really love to hear from you.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Dena. We're going to have, I'll put your link to your website and your number and everything in the post when we actually post this to the Facebook group. But thank you so much. This has been so much fun. Tons of value. I always learn so much whenever we talk, whether it's now or Toastmasters or whenever. So thanks so much again for coming on.
Thank you, John. I always learn a lot talking to you as well, and great job. I loved it.
Thank you. Thanks, Dena.